All right, now we got to my favorite lecture in this section. I'm going to show you an awesome tool that gives you a debugging experience that you have never seen before. So go to Google and search for Chrome Redux DevTools. So this is an extension for Chrome. You can also get it for Firefox. Simply add it to your browser. All right, now let's go to the app module. Here I'm using the source code, which is the solution for the exercise in the last lecture. So on the top, from ng2 Redux module, I'm going to import DevTools extension. Now, in the constructor for the app module, I'm going to add another parameter, DevTools, which is of type DevTools extension. Now, the third argument to configure a store method is where we can add a middleware. A middleware is an extension point. So we can execute some code from the moment an action is dispatched to the moment it reaches a reducer. An example of that is logging. We can log every action and do something about it. Now in this lecture, we are not going to use middlewares, so I'm going to pass an empty array here. Now the fourth argument here is an array of enhancers, and that's where we're going to use this DevTools extension. So an array, I'm going to call DevTools.enhancer. Now, this is going to have some cost, so we want to run this only when the application is in development mode. So I'm going to go on top of this file. From Angular core module, I'm going to import isDevMode function. Now back in the constructor, I'm going to declare enhancers and check if we are in development mode. I'm going to set it to an array that includes DevTools.enhancer. Otherwise, I'm going to set it to an empty array for production. Now I'm going to replace this fourth argument with enhancers. So that's all we have to do. Now the magic happens. Save. When we add that enhancer, we see this icon highlighted in the toolbar, and this is Redux DevTools. So we can right-click this and open it on the left, right, top, or bottom of the screen. In this demo, I'm going to open it in a separate panel so you can see it clearly. This is what we get. So currently, log monitor is selected here. You can see the initial state of the application. You can see we have this to-dos array that is empty, and last update is null. Now I'm going to go back in the application, add a new to-do item here, A, and another one, B, C, and remove C. Now back here, you can see every action that has been dispatched, the data it included, and how the state changed in response to that action. So first we had an add to the action. Here's our action object. It had a title property that was A. And below that, you can see how the state changed in response to that action. So now our to-dos array has one item. We can expand it. Here's our object. You can also see last update is modified. Similarly, we have another add to do action, another one, and remove to do. Now we can click any of these actions to disable it. So let me disable this one. You can see remove to do is now struck through. And if you go to the application, we have 3 items. So the third one is not removed. Now here we can undo any actions, not necessarily the last one. So I can go on the top and undo the action that added the A item. Look, now we have B and C. This is time travel debugging. So we can go back in time, look at the state, or modify it. Now here we have another monitor, which is inspector, which gives you a less detailed view of what happened. Again, you can see the list of actions that have been dispatched. You can see that I have undone add to do and remove to do actions. I can click skip again to redo it. Or I can restore the application state to any of the previous actions. So I can go to the second add to do action and click jump. Now this is our application after the second action was dispatched. So we have 2 items here, A and B. Now on the right side of each action here, we have a few tabs. Let's look at the first one, action. So this is our second action, add to do, and the title is B. We can look at the state after the response to this action. So our to-dos array has 2 items. We can also get a diff of the state changes. Diff. So you can see in our to-dos array, we have a new object with ID 2 and title B. Now if I select another action here, you can see when the third add to do action was dispatched, the last update property was also modified. You can see the previous value and the new value. So this gives you a very detailed look into how the application state is changing from each action to another. Without this tool, if you want to get this visibility, we have to throw lots of console.log statements all over the code. Now we can also see a visual representation of application state and how it changes. So here I select chart. Now if you click this icon here, a panel will open on the bottom of the screen. Let me show you. On this panel, we have this slider, which we can use to travel back and forth in time. So I can take this to the first step, the initial state, and here you can see a visual representation of application state. So our to-dos array is empty and last update is null. Now I can go one step forward, and here's the change. Now in to-dos array, we have one new item, which is an object with ID 1 and title A. And here's last update. Again, we can keep going forward and see how the application state changes. Extremely powerful. Now all this aside, let me show you my favorite feature. We can click this button here to save the current application state and reload it later. So this saves the application state in a JSON file. And in this JSON file, we have all the actions that have been dispatched as well as the initial state of the application. Now I can come back here, refresh this page, the state is gone. However, I can come back here and reload the state. And now if we get back to the application, look, we have 2 items here, and both our components, both the to-do list and the dashboard, are in sync. Extremely powerful. So with this, you can bring the application into a state where you have a bug, then save the state, and then pass that state file to your colleague developer, and they can jumpstart debugging instead of working with a complex form, adding lots of data every single time they load the page. This is very time consuming, and if you have been in the industry for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now there is also a faster way to restore the state, so we don't have to save and load the state every time. Let's bring the application into a new state. I'm going to add a new item here, item 1. All right, now if we click this icon here, the state will be persisted. Which means if we go back here and refresh the page, this is our initial state. So what I want you to see here is that in the exercise for the last lecture, yes, we implemented the same application using a shared service, but when you use Redux, you get this powerful tooling and you don't have to throw lots of console log statements all over your code to see how the application state is changed. All right, so that was the basics of Redux DevTools. In the next couple of lectures, I'm going to talk about some advanced topics when you're working with more complex applications.